You know, in theory, all the yelling and screaming we heard in NBA arenas this weekend was over a bumpy orange ball. But of course, it was about a lot more than that. The sounds you heard, that wall of noise in Phoenix? Yeah, that's it. Or the way the building actually seemed to sway at some points in Salt Lake? Those were sounds of hope and progress and the joy of just getting to be normal again, of obsessing over referee whistles instead of ambulance sirens. And nowhere was that more true than in New York City, which for months last year bore COVID's biggest brunt. Just the chance to be at Madison Square Garden again with a building full of fans and Spike on the sideline. It felt like a victory before the ball was ever tipped off. That would have been enough. Fortunately, though, we got more. An absolute old-fashioned playoff dogfight between the Knicks and Hawks, with Trae Young entering the great pantheon of New York sports villains. You know, coming into this series, there was a legit question about who was going to be the best player on the court. And I'm not ready to say we know the final answer after just one game. I certainly think Julius Randle, who has bounced back from a lot worse in his career, can bounce back from a night he looked just unlike himself, going just 6 for 23 from the floor. But boy, did Trae Young stake his claim. Young was unruffled all night as the Garden faithful bombarded him with words I cannot say on national television. And he even kept his cool as he stood at the line with 28 seconds to go, making both of his free throws to give the Hawks a 2-point lead. At that point, the Knicks were running their offense through Derrick Rose, and the former MVP delivered with this runner with just under 10 on the clock. That was when the Garden absolutely erupted. New York felt like New York again, until Trae happened again. This was actually supposed to be a play for John Collins, but his sneaker fell off, and so Trae just barreled ahead after a series. I mean, just look, drawing a quartet of defenders. He launched the floater, less than a second on the clock. This was so good. Look at this.
Impressive. Floater.
And then what happened after? Just as spectacular. Trae going full Reggie Miller on the New York crowd, putting his finger to his lips, remarking about how quiet it had gotten, again using words I can't put on television. Fortunately, Trae repeated a cleaner version as he walked off the court post-game. Take a listen.
Got real quiet in there. It got real quiet in there. It's still yelling now, I don't care. Next one. Next one.
Oh my, I'm not sure what the next few days are going to be like for Trae around New York or on social media. This is a very different time than when Reggie Miller was making that choke sign to Spike Lee all those years ago. And also remember, at that point, Reggie was more experienced. He was 28 years old. He had already been through playoff wars. Trae is only 22 and has now put even more pressure on himself to deliver again in Game 2. But also, being the object of fan hate, not new for Young, who faced down doubters both in college and when he first got to Atlanta, and who seems to relish all of it. Frankly, I am relishing it too. Not any particular team winning, but just the chance to have a basketball game be the thing we are most emotional about today. To have had a night where more than 15,000 people just got into the same large room and yelled and screamed and hugged and laughed and, yes, obsessed about something as trivial as a bumpy orange ball. Isn't it just fantastic? Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.